So on Friday, New York State sued prediction market Kalshi, the lawsuit alleging the platform is quintessentially gambling, allowing, quote, a bettor to stake or risk money upon the outcome of a contest or chance or a future contingent event not under the bettor's control or influence upon an agreement or understanding that he will receive something of value in the event of a certain outcome. Joining us right now is Tarek Mansour. He is the co-founder and CEO of Kalshi. And we should mention that Kalshi and CNBC have a commercial relationship that includes customer acquisitions and a minority investment. Good morning. Let's talk about this, because this is really a shot across the bow, not just at Kalshi. Ostensibly, I mean, they didn't bring the suit against others, but this could change the whole prediction market story if you believe it changes the story. And this is really a states' rights issue versus a federal law issue.
I don't really think this is like about a state or federal or any of these questions. I mean, that same lawsuit, and it's not about sports, it's going after all prediction markets and their entirety, the entire business model. You could copy-paste that lawsuit and file it against NASDAQ, the building that we're in. I mean, they could shut down this building for the same exact reasons that you just read, the same thing that you outlined. I mean, I think the more interesting thing that's at play here is that you have an industry, the prediction market industry, that is disruptive, that is growing fast, consumers are adopting it, and it's threatening a legacy incumbent industry that is unhappy about that. And that has played out over and over. It's played out with taxis and Uber. It's played out with hotels and Airbnb. And, those are usually pretty well galvanized industries with large lobbies that are effective at getting actions against the new thing that's coming around. And the playbook is very simple. It's litigate, then you try to legislate, and then finally when you realize that consumer demand is not going to go away, you finally try to compete and innovate. And that's the cycle that we're going through right now. Now, the key thing here and what's very important is that we have a federal regulator. Like this notion that this is the Wild West or we're skirting some laws or regulation, we have federal regulators. We're adopting or abiding by all the rules that were basically being put in front of us, and we're operating under those rules. We took years to get that license, and we stand firmly by that license. And on the policy side, there's a bit of a question of like what exactly is the sort of intended outcome. We have over 1 million customers.
You're saying the intended outcome from the state of New York?
The lawsuit. What is the intended outcome out of this whole thing, right? We have
it looks like they plan to shut you down, is what they...
Well, you're going to have a lot of pissed off New Yorkers if we get shut down in New York, right? And you have 1 million... here's the question, Becky. How much do you think, if you add up all the profits and losses of New Yorkers so far this year on Kalshi, what do you think that number is?
Over $1 billion? Over $3 billion?
Well, they made $200 million. Plus $200 million. Right, obviously, Chris Christie and the gaming guys come in here and all these customers are losing on Kalshi, etc. They have made over $200 million because New Yorkers are smart and they're doing a good job. You know where that's not possible? On the sports books. That is impossible on DraftKings or in a casino. It's impossible in the gambling.
Meaning that the house always wins.
It is impossible.
The house always
wins. They ban the winners.
Draft.
It's impossible for that number to exist. Actually, that number is negative $200 million for the sports books in that same period. So when we talk about customer protection, what exactly are we
protecting? Let me ask you a different question, because effectively what's happened here is right. You are right in this sort of an Uber sense that, when I say Uber, meaning the car service, that technology evolves. Sometimes the companies try to move faster than the regulators, try to get to a place where the customer loves everybody so much that then the regulators have to basically capitulate and decide, well, we're just doing this because the customer actually likes this and we think politically it's painful otherwise. If you were the governor of New York, recognizing what's going on right now, from a policy perspective for the state of New York, either to maximize tax revenue, to minimize losses for citizens in the state, to take advantage of this moment in some way, what would you do?
I would pick New York over special interests. That's what I would do. So the two concerns that are brought up is customer protection and taxes. We've gone to the government and said, look, if there are genuine gaps in customer protection that Kalshi is not doing, let's have a conversation, we'll implement them. We look at the things that are required from the state and the sports book and what we're doing, and we see that as what we're doing as being superior. And if you ask consumers on the ground, which one do you feel is safer, which one do you trust more, they would tell you unequivocally Kalshi. Now, the tax piece is the other really interesting piece. We put our proposal in front of the governor that would, do some sort of taxation.
You've been negotiating with the governor
and then there would be
and with New York
State. That's right. And then there would be some sort of taxation on the prediction market industry that would raise close to $10 billion over the next 5 years from the prediction market industry. Why? Because it's the prediction market industry is the fastest growing industry outside of AI right now. We're probably the fastest growing company in New York.
But what was the tax rate? I read that it was like 10% you were offering.
So yeah, I mean, there's like tax on the prediction market operator, and then there's tax on realized gains, and there's a few things in that thing. But the point is that you would have raised a substantial amount of money.
But no, I think the point is the amount that you were talking about. Was it 10% on the prediction markets? Because
there's like a few
sports
levers.
betting, they get 51% at the tax.
It's very different models. Like, again, in the sports betting, they are betting against the customers. They're making money from that customers.
But just from the New York State perspective, if they can get a 51%
you can
tax
model
on that
this
money.
out. I mean, you can look at how much the sports books are paying and how much prediction markets are paying, and you net out that actually prediction markets are probably going to raise 2x given that proposal.
But that's just because you have more users, or because the percentage does look like it's. Just talk me through.
I think the industry is going much faster because in our industry, liquidity begets liquidity. It's two different models. The gambling business model is take money from consumers and pay some part of it back to the state. We function like the NASDAQ. We take a 1% transaction fee. Now, that generates a lot of gains in the state from consumers using it.
What do you make about...
You can tax...
But is that where things broke down in the negotiations? Was over the
I don't think it was that. I mean, I think we just didn't hear any response. I think, and when you look at a tax that would have raised 5x what the pied-à-terre is going to raise over the next 5 years, and we're just not even sort of getting responses, it begs the question of, like, who is benefiting here? Yeah. And the only, I think, constituency that's benefiting, I think, is the DraftKings and casinos.
Yeah,
that's
the sports gambling.
Who else is benefiting? Definitely not the consumers, because, when we say we're protecting them, we're protecting them against making money. Like, the lawsuit asked us to restitute the consumers. What do I do? Should I go tell New Yorkers giving back the $200 million that you made this year? How do I how do I make them right? I mean,
let me ask you, and maybe this is a philosophical question, and it really is, I think, underneath the New York State suit, which is to say, their view of sports gambling is something that should be regulated by the state. Full stop. And they effectively are arguing that the CFTC and the construct, just because you and I are now betting against each other and that there's no house, if you will, shouldn't change the dynamic, because effectively, at base, what the user is doing conceptually is not that different, meaning you're still betting on whether someone's going to win the game and by how many points. It's just, are you betting against a house, or are you betting against another individual by using an exchange, right? Like, that's what this is all about.
But it's not, Andrew. This lawsuit is not about sports. It's about all event contracts.
Well,
like you guys use the data, I mean, weekly on the show, right?
By the way, I find the data very valuable for trying to understand certain moments. The data that comes off of this is a different story in terms of value proposition. That might have a societal value.
But the state is going after that.
I understand that, but the question is whether the value, it's really about the value on who's betting on the other end.
I just think the point here, and maybe the point that we're trying to make, is that there is no limiting principle, right? Like, this is the law. I mean, I didn't write the law. Right. I'm not, I didn't write the law. There's no limiting principle. What is this sort of limiting principle that people are looking at? Financial markets have speculation. That is true. That speculation looks and feels and has characteristics that seem like that at face value could look like gambling. People talk about trading on options all day long as gambling, because the reality is some people are exhibiting behaviors that are pretty much like gambling.
How come they went after you and not Polymarket and not Robinhood?
That's a question for the governor.
Well, I'm assuming...
I don't know.